Donald Trump on multiple occasions told supporters that he would decrease the cost of housing, but some of his policies could make housing less affordable. And when you consider the unique group of individuals that he's chosen to manage the different duties in his administration, well, let's just say it could get interesting. Now, for the record, I love Donald Trump. I mean, we're practically best buddies. But I'm going to look at this objectively because some of Trump's changes could have unintended consequences. For example, Trump's aggressive stance on illegal immigrants could really hurt your ability to buy a home. The Board czar Tom Homan was recently interviewed by Tucker Carlson.
So you were pretty much the first person Trump chose after he got elected. I think it was the end of that week, right?
Yeah, I believe I was.
Can you summarize in one sentence what you plan to do with the job?
He gave me three things he wants me to do. Number one is secure the border.
Yeah.
Shut the border down. Number two, run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen. And third, he wants me to lead an effort to find the over 300,000 missing children that were trafficked into this country.
Now, with the staggering number of criminals and drugs that have poured into our country over the last few years, mass deportation will make America a safer place. But it could hurt housing affordability. Another major concern in regards to the cost of building homes is Donald Trump's stance on tariffs. To put it mildly, Trump has really pissed off some of our neighbors to the north. I'll take a deeper look at the issues regarding migration and tariffs at the end of this video. But first, here are 10 reasons why Trump could hurt the housing market. Number one, rising mortgage rates. Trump's proposed tax cuts and increased deficit spending could lead to higher treasury yields, indirectly driving mortgage rates up. This would reduce affordability and slow market activity. Number two, reduced consumer protections. His previous term saw a reduction in the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's power. This impacted regulations that safeguard borrowers. If continued, it could lead to riskier lending practices, potentially destabilizing the housing market. Number three, privatizing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Trump has previously advocated privatizing these government-sponsored enterprises. This move could increase the cost of mortgage loans, make it more expensive for middle or lower income buyers to secure financing. Number four, deregulation over affordable housing. Trump's focus on deregulatory measures might encourage new housing projects, but could reduce incentives for affordable housing development. This could worsen the existing housing shortage and make homeownership harder for low and middle income families. Number five, uncertain support for housing assistance. Trump's focus on reducing federal spending could lead to cuts in housing assistance programs, which many Americans rely on for affordable housing options. Number six, potential for more investors. Deregulatory measures could encourage increased speculation in real estate. This would likely increase home prices in many markets, crowding out individual home buyers. Number seven, unpredictable economic policy. This may create economic volatility, and potential tariffs or international trade conflicts could undermine consumer confidence and affect the housing market as fewer people feel secure enough to buy a home. Number eight, opportunity zones. Trump has promoted opportunity zones to spur development, but this often benefits wealthier areas instead of low-income communities, so it may not improve the housing issues for those in need. Number nine, lack of plans for affordable housing. While Trump has voiced his desire to make housing more affordable, he has not outlined a clear policy to increase supply. So prices could continue to climb, hurting your ability to buy a house. Number 10, changes in the Federal Reserve. If Trump moves to restructure the Fed's governance for more control over interest rates, this could disrupt the independence of monetary policy. This could affect long-term mortgage stability and make the housing market more susceptible to political changes. Sorry to interrupt. I was about to take this video live when I came across a great interview that gives a simple explanation of why mortgage rates are still high and what you can expect in 2025. I'm also going to share a clip of Dave Ramsey explaining what you should do in this crazy market. Look for that at the end. Okay, let's get back to the video. Okay, so as I mentioned, Trump's stance on deportation could negatively affect the US housing market. According to NBC, Trump may deport hundreds of thousands of migrants. Those who've entered the country illegally are often willing or even anxious to do the jobs that many Americans refuse to do. And swiftly removing them will decimate the labor market, adversely impacting the companies who rely on these individuals. The cost of construction will increase as US laborers demand higher wages. But this isn't the only problem. With a smaller workforce, the time to build will increase. Because the US is suffering from a severe housing shortage, the sudden departure of these individuals could hurt the housing market. Now, it's true that the quality of construction should improve as many of these unskilled laborers are kicked out of the country. But if we're being honest, many of these unskilled laborers can easily be trained to competently complete many of these construction tasks. And it's not just the home builders that will miss this cheap labor. It will also affect the factories and warehouses that produce many of the products used to build a home. And without a doubt, the builders will pass these additional costs onto you. Now, Donald Trump's proposed tariffs could impact the US housing market negatively in many ways. Tariffs on imports like steel, aluminum, and lumber could increase the costs of construction materials. The increased costs would likely lead to higher construction expenses for new homes. This would push home prices up and reduce affordability for buyers. Tariffs can also contribute to higher inflation, which might lead to increased mortgage rates. Tariffs can also contribute to higher inflation, and that might lead to increased interest rates as the Federal Reserve responds to inflationary pressure. And as we all know, higher mortgage rates would make borrowing more expensive, decreasing housing affordability. Reports indicate that investors are already anticipating higher inflation and borrowing costs due to Trump's tariff policies, which could elevate mortgage rates. Tariffs could also disrupt existing supply chains, and delay in obtaining materials would likely lead to higher construction costs. Uncertainty around tariff policies can hurt consumer confidence. If people expect higher costs and there's economic instability, homebuyers might decide to wait. If tariffs lead to broader inflation, this would not only affect mortgage rates, but also the general cost of living, squeezing people's budgets. Higher consumer prices would likely reduce disposable income available for housing, further straining affordability. While Trump's tariffs aim to protect domestic industries, they could inadvertently increase the cost of housing, both in terms of construction and financing. This would likely make housing less affordable. However, the exact outcome of this would depend on how these policies are implemented, among other things. Okay, so as promised, here's an awesome explanation of why rates are high, what you can expect in 2025, and what you should do about it.
What's keeping mortgage rates so high despite recent rate cuts?
So it's really an interesting phenomenon because you would think that mortgage rates would fluctuate with the interest rate cuts that we're getting. In fact, mortgage rates are tied to the 30-year Treasury yield, and that really moves with where investors think inflation and rate cuts are going. And so while we did get that rate cut from the Federal Reserve last week, we also got messaging from Chair Jerome Powell that we aren't going to get as many interest rate cuts in 2025. And there's this fear that inflation is stickier than expected. And so that's why you're seeing mortgage rates tick up.
You know, people are looking at it. If you already own a home, you don't want to sell because you have such a low interest rate. If you are somebody who wants to buy a home, you're going, I really need the interest rate to come down. When do you think home buyers could feel some relief?
I can tell you I'm one of them that's looking for the first time home and is wondering that exact same thing. Unfortunately, I don't think that we are going to see rates go much lower than that 6 to 7% mark in 2025. We would have to see some really, really massive changes when it comes to inflation. The best advice that I have been given in my home search from home industry experts are marry the house and date the rate. You can always refinance in the future, but if you find that house that you love, you want to pounce on it. We aren't seeing the inventory come onto the market that we've been hoping for. I mean, that's why housing prices are so high. We have people who are sitting on those 3% mortgages and they're saying, I just don't want to take the leap right now.
Now, I hope that information was helpful. To reinforce what Kelly was saying, here's Dave Ramsey.
We know house prices are going to go up, so let's buy. If interest rates go down, you can always refinance. You're not stuck, but you are stuck with house prices. So buy now.
If you're looking to buy, sell, build a home, or investing into our real estate, I get contacted all the time. Please feel free to call or text me with your questions. I'd love to meet you, and I'm honored to serve you. For everyone else, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you know someone who's looking to buy a home, you can easily text this video to them. Remember, you can find me on Instagram at Ty the Real Estate Guy. If you found this information helpful, please give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button below and ring that little bell. It'll make you feel good.